Let's do some grammar. All right, here we go. So this time we are looking at clauses and how to identify clauses. So we did level 1, level 2, a little bit on level 3. We're skipping to level 4. There's a few phrases that are a little more complicated that we're going to do those last. So level 1 is parts of speech, level 2 is parts of a sentence, level 3 are phrases are called verbals, level 4 is clauses, and then we identify what type of sentence it is. So let's go ahead and get started. Kate is a noun, noted is an action verb, the is an article adjective, days is what we call a possessive noun, and it's modifying events, which is also a noun. So it's kind of acting like an adjective, but it's a noun, so it's a possessive noun because of that apostrophe. In her journal is a prepositional phrase. In is a prep. Her is a possessive pronoun. And journal is a noun. You know me by now. I like to finish my prepositional phrases and get them out of the way. So level 2, it always starts with a prep, ends with a object of the preposition, which is a noun or a pronoun. And we identified as a prepositional phrase. So where did she note? It was in her journal, so that's an adverb prepositional phrase. I'm going to come back to before. She is a personal pronoun acting as a subject. Went is an action verb. And to bed is another prepositional phrase. So prep. To is a prep. Bed is a noun. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Level 2, object of the preposition. Identify it as a prepositional phrase. And where did she go? She went to bed. That is also an adverb prepositional phrase. Okay. I think those were all the ones you should have known. Okay, let's do the subject over here, Kate, and action verb predicate. Kate noted, what did Kate note? Kate noted the event, so that's a direct object. She went is your action verb predicate. All right, so we are to a point that you haven't gotten before. You have a subject predicate set here, and you have a subject predicate set here, which means we need to separate two clauses. And in order to do that, you look for a clue. And this is your clue right here, this word before. It is separating the two clauses. So we're going to go ahead and put a line right here. And let's go back and look at this clause. Kate noted the day's events in her journal. That is an independent clause. It stands all by itself. It doesn't have anything that needs to answer a question. Okay, so it's good to go. Before she went to bed is also a clause, but it's what we call a dependent clause, because if I just read before she went to bed, you're going to be asking before what? It's like, where's the rest of the sentence? And so you need to identify that before is a subordinating conjunction, and the easiest way to do these, you guys, if you have not gone to the grammar section under the teacher page and looked at this cheat sheet, then you need to print this off and make it your BFF, because I use this thing all the time. When I first started doing grammar, I didn't really understand it, especially this 4-level analysis part, and so I broke it all down for you. So this is parts of speech, this is parts of a sentence, you turn it over, you've got your verbals and phrases, you've got your types of clauses, and then you've got your types of sentences. So I use this thing all the time. Mine happens to be purple, but whatever color you need and that you want to print it off, I'd print it off on cardstock because you're going to use it a lot. Okay, we're going to get to this next part in a second, but we said it's a dependent clause, and it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So I'm going to go to clauses. I'm going to find a dependent clause that starts with, it says the subject predicate set does not make sense independently and needs to hang on to an independent clause. Well, before she went to bed is hanging on to and is dependent upon. Kate noted the day's events in her journal. Okay, so then there are two types, actually 3 types of dependent clauses. There's an adverbial, an adjectival, or a noun clause. And we'll get to these in just a little bit in a few weeks, but what I want to do is I want to kind of see which one of these it is real quickly. You don't have to do this yet, but it's clearly here if you want to use it. This one says, adverbial says it begins with a subordinating conjunction. Well, we have a dependent clause that begins with a subordinating conjunction, so that makes this a adverbial dependent clause. So this isn't something you have to have yet, but since you have the resource, you might as well use it. Okay, type of a sentence. If you have an independent clause plus a dependent clause, that equals a complex. So we're going to say that this is a complex, and it is a declarative sentence because it just states something. Okay? So now you've got level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then what type of a sentence it is. I know, you're so excited about this. Okay, let's keep going. Kate is a noun, and is a coordinating conjunction. Her is a possessive pronoun. Horse is a noun. Entered is an action verb. A is an article adjective. Barrel racing is modifying competition. So barrel racing is an adjective, and competition is a noun. I'm going to skip which. Was is a linking verb. Competitive is an adjective modifying competition. And very is an adverb modifying to what extent is it competitive. Alright, let's keep going. You notice I skipped which. So let's go over here. We've got two predicates. We've got an action verb predicate here, entered, and we've got a linking verb predicate here, which means I should have two separate subjects as well. So who entered? Kate, horse, entered, and what did they enter? Kate, horse, entered the competition. That's your direct object. So let's go over here to was. Who or what was? Which was. So which is your subject. Now, your subject has to be a noun or a pronoun. Well, which is not a noun, so therefore it has to be a pronoun, and it's what we call a relative pronoun. Okay? Which was, and we have a predicate adjective there, which was competitive. Okay. So you notice right here there's this little traffic signal. It's a comma. A lot of times a comma separates the two clauses for us, and in this case it certainly does. So we're going to draw a line here. Kate and her horse entered the barrel racing competition. That clause stands all by itself. It's an independent clause, and there are no phrases. So I'm going to make note of that here. There are no phrases on that one. Which was very competitive. If I read it just like this, which was very competitive, that doesn't make any sense. It's dependent upon this part. Kate and her horse entered the barrel racing. So it's a dependent clause that begins with a relative pronoun. Okay? Again, go to your cheat sheet. Dependent clause that begins with a relative pronoun. Usually begins with a relative pronoun and answers the question, which one, what kind. So it is an adjectival dependent clause. And again, you have an independent plus a dependent clause, which makes it a complex declarative sentence. Okay? All right, let's try the next one. Entrance is a noun. Raced is an action verb. Around is a preposition. Barrels is a noun. So let's get rid of our prepositional phrase, object of the preposition. They raced. Where did they race? Around. So that's an adverb prepositional. I'm going to come back to that. Were is a linking verb. Put is an action verb. And in the ring is a prepositional phrase. In is a prep. The is an article adjective. Ring is a noun. Finish my prepositional phrase. Where did it happen? In the prep. Okay. So entrance is a subject. Race is your action verb predicate. We have another predicate here, linking verb. Who or what were? That. Okay, again, I have a subject that were put. Oops, I messed that up. Sorry, this should be a helping verb. Helping verb. This whole thing put in action kit. Okay. Were put. Again, a pronoun, because it's not a noun, it's going to be a relative pronoun, which means subject predicate here and a subject predicate there. There is no traffic signal, but there is a brake right there. That's a brake would go. So entrance raced around the barrel. That's all on its own. That were put in the ring doesn't stand on its own. A dependent clause beginning with a relative pronoun, just like this one did, so it's an adjective dependent clause. You have an independent and a dependent, which makes it a complex declarative sentence. Okay. All right. Let's do this last one. Derek is a noun. Pointed is an action verb. Toward the tall pink flowers is a prepositional phrase. Toward is a prep. The is an article adjective. Tall is going to be an adjective modifying flowers. Pink is going to be an adjective modifying flowers. And flowers, of course, is a noun. Get rid of your prepositional phrase. The flowers is your object of the preposition. This whole thing is a prepositional phrase modifying where did they point, so it's an adverb prepositional phrase. We've got a traffic signal here, so there's a clue that we might be separating a clause. And is a coordinating conjunction. We is a personal pronoun. Watched is the action verb. The is an article adjective. Flowers is a noun. I'm going to skip as. They is a personal pronoun. Swayed is an action verb. And in the breeze is a prepositional phrase. The is an article adjective. Breeze is a noun. Go ahead and get rid of your prepositional phrase. Where did they sway? So that's going to be an adverb prepositional phrase. All right, let's go find our predicates. We've got pointed, action verb predicate. We've got watched, action verb predicate. And we've got swayed, action verb predicate. Okay, go back to the first one. Who or what pointed? Derek pointed, so that's your subject. Go to the next one. Who or what watched? We watched. And go to the next one. Who or what swayed? They swayed. So there's your subjects. Now we've got 3 separate predicate sets, subject predicate sets, which means we're going to have 3 clauses. Derek pointed toward the tall pink flowers. Traffic signal tells you there's a clause right there, and that stands all by itself. Derek pointed towards the tall pink flowers. That is an independent clause. Stands all by itself. And is a coordinating conjunction, which joins these 2 clauses together. We watched the flowers. That is also an independent clause. So we've got 2 independent clauses. And is a coordinating conjunction, so we've got 2 of them. You can do a fanboys, and we watched the flowers could stand all on its own. As, in this case, is a subordinating conjunction. As they swayed is a dependent clause. It can't stand on its own, and it starts with a subordinating conjunction, which makes it an adverb dependent clause. We've got an independent plus an independent, which would be a compound. And then we have plus a dependent, which makes it a complex. So it is a compound, complex, declarative sentence.